Hello, welcome back to a new video. Today is a really exciting one because it's part of the Junk Journal January collab with Meg Journals. And you might know that I've done a few of the collabs before and I create the graphics for it, but this time it's a really exciting one because it's their 5th year anniversary and Meg's teamed up and is in collaboration with Get Messy this year, which is super exciting, and there's a lot of us joining in with the collaboration this month. So if you're in need of any junk journal inspiration, then there's a new video from a different creator, 29 days of the month with Meg on the 1st and the 31st of January. So Junk Journal January comes with 31 prompts. There's a prompt list that Meg has created and I'll pop that on screen now. So each day there's a creator making a video inspired by that prompt. And I'm number 18, so my prompt was maps. I have so many different maps in my collection. Thankfully, my dad is a collector and he's often on auctions and he has so many interesting things in his collection, and I'm very lucky because sometimes I get to take some of these beautiful old maps or vintage books or just old ephemera. So I was really excited to pick this prompt, and you can see here I'm picking out quite a few different maps. There's some coloured ones, a lot of nautical and ship ones, as well as some showing the UK. You can either print out some maps online, you can find some vintage ones there, or you can scour Etsy or even look at like car boot sales or thrift stores. A lot of the times these places have maps that you can use secondhand and they just make a really lovely base. So in today's video I'm going to show you how I fill my spread using these different maps, and I often use them as layering pieces or, like I said, to cover the background. For Junk Journal January, I'm working in this old book, so I'm creating my first altered book. It already has like the story text behind, but I'm excited to use that as my base. And I'm just layering up a few different tones here. So I'm using the map on the left, which is quite a thick paper, and then this brown paper just because I really like that warm vintage feel. Because I'm using a glue stick, it means I can lift things up and place things underneath. So that's really handy when I'm quite indecisive. I'm using the UK map here, so it's a lot thinner, and I'm creating a little envelope pocket from this. I'm just using a playing card to draw around it, and I'm basically just making up my own envelope template, but there are definitely better tutorials and proper explanations on YouTube and online. But I just sort of winged it and I drew around it, and then I'm cutting up the sides and making little triangles which I will fold in. I've done quite a few different journal videos on my channel, so you can find those in a playlist, but I'll also link the playlist to the full Junk January down below as well. So this year I'm working in the altered book, which is a lot larger than I usually go for. In Junk Journal July, I did a smaller handmade book, and I think the Junk Journal January before this, I did even smaller. So I'm kind of working up in terms of size, and it's a really good way to use some of my paper ephemera. So here's how the final envelope is looking, and I wanted to try and fill more of that page with some other maps. I really like this coloured one, which I think was actually from some gift wrap. And I also want to use this old photograph, which is actually a postcard. And I'm just playing around with the different tones of paper. Again, just gluing that in with a glue stick. This is some old instructions from a knitting book. But I just really love the effect of layering and the different, like, slightly off white tones. I start to stick this nautical map on, and like I said, with the Pritt stick I can peel things up and try things, but it's just a case of trial and error, and I didn't quite like it over the top. But when I go to stick this down, I realise that I'm covering up some of the text from the original book, and I don't really want to cover that up completely because I don't want to hide the fact that this is an altered book. So once I stuck it down, I do actually tear some more off so you can see the paragraph of the text peeking through. It is quite a simple journal spread today, but I really wanted to highlight the maps and show different layering ideas, and you'll see what I do to sort of tone it all together in a moment. I really do recommend checking out the Junk Journal January playlist. I've discovered so many wonderful new creators, which is so nice to see. and it's really a great place to find some inspiration. So I'm just adding in a touch of colour using this pink grid washi and folding the book down so that it lies flat and gives a really nice defined fold. So here I am coming in with some acrylic paint, and if you've watched some of my journal videos before, you know this is one of my favourite techniques, especially for toning down a background or bringing a spread together, because this really helps to tie in the second page and also merge the papers together instead of them all being very harsh edges and being separate elements. I think it works really nicely to have that white layer to tie it in, and it adds another really nice texture on top because I'm placing it on there with an old card, so it gives a really organic look. I've added the postcard on the left just with a paper clip. I really love the tactileness of the look of that, and it's quite nice to be able to take it off if I need to, and I can add some journaling behind as well. So the little card that goes in the envelope is actually cut from an old greetings card, so on the back there was a picture of a cake which I wanted to cover up, so I'm just covering it again with an old road map, and that just ties in with the maps again, but it will be hidden in the envelope most of the time. I'm actually going to use this side to add on the prompt, so I'm going to write maps here using some letter stickers, but first I'm playing around with some different coloured stamps, which just adds a bit more colour, and I think this page just needed that slight little pop. This was just a printable which I printed from online, and then the stamps again are from my dad. So he's a stamp collector, so I get a lot of his non-collectible ones, which is really handy. And then here I am adding on the letter stickers for maps, and these are just some Tim Holtz ones. I didn't space out the letters very well, so I'm adding on this little doodle of like a little location pin and roughly marking that in with a black pen. I'm keeping it quite messy just because I like the way that that looks, and then popping this little card into the envelope. So now it's a case of just finishing off the final pieces. There was a gap down there at the bottom which I'm using a half of an old postcard again just to fill in the space and add another piece of layering. I really love it when you can see like different vintage typography, and then there was a gap at the top as well. I do think it needed a bit more colour, so I'm coming in with the stamps again and layering those on top. I really liked how the green stamp ties in the green from the envelope on the road map, so I'm adding that one in first, and then I will layer it in with this brown stamp on the top. To finish off this page, I've really been enjoying adding in mixed media lately, so I'm using a Neocolor 2 pastel and just drawing some spots and dots over the top. I was trying not to make it look too uniformed, but I really love the hand-drawn nature of this. I think it really ties it all in together. I like how we've got it on the bottom left corner and then the top right, so it ties the spread together and really draws your eye from the left to the right as well. And I think it was nice to add that contrast of the navy blue, just again to add in some more colour. So I'm placing the envelope, trying to work out where it looks best, and I did add a tiny touch of glue just to keep that flat down, but it means I can unglue it whenever I want to grab out the little journaling card, and again I can write on the back of that. I really enjoy little hidden journaling places like this because I don't openly write much, so just a small little area works really well for me. Here's some close-ups of the final spread, and although it does look quite basic, there's actually quite a lot of layers there. I've used quite a few maps, and I really love the way it looks all together. I think it gives a really nice vintage aesthetic. Here's how the card looks in the middle of the envelope, and I think this whole spread tied together really nicely. So thank you so much for watching, and thank you to Meg for inviting me to join the Junk Journal January collab again. Like I said, I will link down the prompt list and also the playlist with all the other videos from this month, and I hope you enjoyed the rest of the Junk Journal January inspiration to come. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next week with a new video. See you later.